Marc Marquez won the sprint. He crashed, picked his bike up, cut across the grass, broke every expectation about how you recover from a mid-race fall, and won. His home crowd lost their minds. The narrative wrote itself. The champion is back. The shoulder is right. Jerez is his. And then Sunday came. Dry conditions, clean track, no rain, no chaos, no loopholes. And the fastest Marquez at Jerez this weekend won the Grand Prix. It just wasn't the one everyone had been watching. So why has almost nobody said that clearly? And what does it actually mean for the 2026 title that Marc's little brother just outran him when the conditions removed every excuse? Let's start with what the weekend looked like on paper, because the paper is hiding something. Friday practice, dry, representative, the kind of session that tells you what the pecking order actually is. Alex Marquez topped it by more than 3/10. He was the only rider to lap in the 1 minute 35 seconds. Marc, after Friday, publicly described a podium ambition as optimistic. That is not a factory team champion sandbagging. That is the defending world champion on his home circuit saying out loud that his dry pace does not put him on the top step. And Marc was 5th in the championship at that point. Motivated, fit, on home turf, with everything to prove. The optimistic comment was the most honest thing said all weekend. Nobody in the paddock treated it as the story. They should have, because Saturday complicated everything in the best possible way for Marc's reputation. Wet qualifying, pole position, and then the sprint. 12 laps that descended into the most chaotic flag-to-flag race Jerez has seen in years. Alex passed Marc for the lead with 6 laps to go, reeling him in over the previous 3, getting alongside and through at turn 9 as the rain began to fall harder. Marc crashed moments later at turn 13. And then, this is the part that made it a legend rather than a footnote. Marquez picked his bike up, waited for the pack to pass, cut perpendicular across the track, rode across a strip of grass, and made it into the pit lane to swap bikes. From the crash to the completed bike change took around 41 seconds. What followed was a charge from the back on wet tyres, a pass on Bagnaia for the lead, and a win by 3 seconds. Johann Zarco, who finished 8th, went straight on Canal Plus afterward and said what a lot of people were thinking. For me, he shouldn't win the race, because when he crashes at the last corner, it already means he had decided not to come into the pits. The stewards investigated and found no violation. The rules protect the inside white line on pit entry, not the outside, and Marquez stayed clear of every green-painted penalty zone. Marc's defence was precise. They say that you don't get a penalty if you don't gain time, don't create a dangerous situation, and don't shortcut a corner via the service road. I have nothing more to say about it. And he was right. He knew exactly which loophole he was standing in. And oh yeah, before Sunday's race, after winning the sprint, after the celebrations, after the crowd noise died down, Marc Marquez stood in front of the media and said this about his brother. Alex is faster than me. Already yesterday, he was half a second quicker on a fast lap. And on the rhythm, it was 3 or 4/10. The favourite is Alex, because he rides in a very good way. The defending world champion, fresh off a sprint win, publicly handing the favourite tag to his younger brother before a Grand Prix. That line got some coverage. Not enough, because it was not modesty. It was an accurate technical assessment from a rider who had just spent the entire weekend watching someone on an identical machine go faster than him in the dry. And this is where the story changes, because Sunday in Jerez was dry. No rain, no chaos, no loophole moment, just 25 laps on a representative circuit with everyone running the same tyres and the same conditions. Alex led from lap 2, made his move at turn 6, and built a gap that Bezzecchi spent the entire race trying to close. Marc was somewhere behind, not leading, not challenging, not converting his sprint win momentum into Grand Prix pace. He crashed out at turn 11 in the early stages. Not a contact crash, not a mechanical failure. A front end that went in the middle of a race he was not controlling. Bezzecchi finished second, Di Gianantonio third. The sprint winner did not see the finish line on Sunday, and the rider who shouldn't have won on Saturday wasn't even close to the podium when the conditions were clean. Let's be honest about what the data says across the whole weekend. In every dry session, Friday practice, the dry sections of the sprint, Sunday's race, Alex Marquez was the faster of the two brothers. Marc was quicker in the wet on Saturday morning. He made a smarter decision at a critical moment in the sprint. He won on Saturday by being the cleverest man on the grid when the weather gave him an opening nobody else saw coming. And on Sunday, when the cleverness didn't apply and the weather gave nobody anything, the pace gap visible since Friday morning showed up exactly where it should. The tear-off that fell from Alex's visor on the grid and lodged under Bezzecchi's Aprilia was the kind of freak moment that defines chaotic weekends. But it didn't define Alex's Sunday. His pace did. People thought the story of the Jerez weekend was about Marc Marquez and his extraordinary sprint win. It was really about Alex Marquez and the dry pace that sprint win helped everyone ignore. Marc won on Saturday by being the smartest rider in the paddock when the rain arrived at the right corner. That was real. That took nerve and precision. But Alex won Sunday by being the fastest rider on track in dry conditions. And that is a different kind of winning. At this circuit, across this entire weekend, those were two different people. And the gap between them in the dry was not small, not marginal, not explained by setup or strategy. It was 3 to 4 tenths on race rhythm. Marc confirmed it himself. That is not a satellite rider punching above his weight. That is a rider who is currently operating at a level his factory brother has not yet reached when the conditions stop protecting him. So does this change the title picture? Marc closed to within 24 points of Bezzecchi after the sprint. The Sunday DNF will have reversed much of that gain. But the bigger question is not the points. It is the pattern. If Alex Marquez is genuinely the faster Gresini rider in dry conditions right now, and the entire Jerez weekend says he is, then Gresini enters the title conversation in a way nobody accounted for. And Marc faces a problem he cannot win his way around. He cannot manufacture rain every Sunday. He cannot always find the right corner to crash at the right moment. At some point, the pace has to come from the bike doing what it needs to do in the first 3 laps. And at Jerez, in the dry, it was his brother's bike doing that better. That should worry everyone who has written Alex Marquez off as a satellite rider on a good run. And it should concern everyone who assumed Marc's sprint win meant the reset had arrived. Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video appearing on your screen right now.